everybody, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Sinead DeFries, and this is The Daily Show, where we bring you the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us, as always, is your editor-in-chief for AMC Movie News, John Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, coming to you live from right here at the AMC Movie News headquarters in Burbank, California, and we are so glad you decided to make us part of your day.
Also here is writer-director John Schnepp.
Man, I was just thinking about going to Umami Burger and ordering those truffle fries.
Oh, no. Off camera.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and scratch that one. But also here is AMC's Christian Harloff.
I see what you did there, Schnepp, you little magician.
All right, switching gears.
It's going to be one of those days.
According to a report from a local Vancouver news source, Disney Studios is moving ahead on a second Tron sequel. Tron 3 will begin shooting in Vancouver on October 5th. According to the source, at this time, only actor Garrett Hedlund, star of the previous film, is confirmed to return. Tron Legacy made just over $400 million at the worldwide box office in 2010 to 2011, but underperformed on expectations from their $170 million budget. Schnepp, do you think this report is true? And if so, is it a good idea for Disney to move ahead with Tron 3?
Well, I certainly think it's a good idea. I hope they do move ahead, because I thought the Disney animated series that they came out with later, I think it was called Tron Uprising, was fantastic.
It was really good.
It was really good. So, I mean, with the expectations of them following with Tron Uprising, I think a third Tron would be fantastic. So I hope Olivia Wilde comes back and they go forward into the world of Tron. So,
Christian?
Yeah, the second one for me, I thought visually was awesome. And the Daft Punk score was one of the best scores in the last couple of years. But they need to drastically change it. I'm all for a third one, but I want them to change it because it was boring. A lot of it was boring. It didn't really have the stakes. Like it said, it underperformed, and I think for a good reason, because it was a great setup to what was going to happen. And if they further the storyline and the lore, I think Tron 3 could be great. And, you know, with one of those circumstances where the third one's the best out of all three.
This is like an Underworld situation to me. You know, I didn't love the first Underworld, but it's like they had all the right elements there, so I was excited for a sequel. Tron 2 for me was underwhelming. Visually great, soundtrack was great, and there were good elements in there. I just felt like it fell a bit short, right? And Sinead is right. I remember talking to some Disney people at that Comic-Con that they were really promoting Tron Legacy, and they were expecting minimum $700 million worldwide. So it fell really short of that. But like Underworld, even though I wasn't thrilled with Tron Legacy, I thought they put the right pieces in place, right? This could be great. And so I'm actually quite excited that they take another crack at it. Now, remember, this is coming just from a local news source. Disney has not confirmed this, so scratch this up to fairly credible rumor, but not confirmed yet. But if it does come through, I'm excited that they're doing it. All right, what's next?
Actor Johnny Depp has reportedly severely injured his hand while on location in Australia for Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men Tell No Tales. There is no official word yet on how Depp injured his hand, but the reports claim that Depp is now flying back to the U.S. for surgery. Variety claims the film will shoot around Depp's absence, and the effect on production will be minimal. The film is still expected to hit its release date when it's scheduled to hit AMC theaters on July 7th, 2017. Christian, will Depp's injury really have that little of an impact on the film's production?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to have a big impact on production. I think that Variety was right. I think that you're going to see them schedule around it. He'll get the injury, and as it heals, they'll shoot around that as well, too. You'll see... Very similar to when if like an actress is pregnant during a lot of times on television, they'll make ways to shoot to make it look like she's not pregnant. Same thing with Depp. They'll shoot the scenes where he doesn't have to use his hand a lot, or they'll do a lot of close-ups for certain days. They'll definitely get around it. A hand injury is not the biggest thing to halt production. So no, I don't really care. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious, what did he do to mess up his hand so bad that he's got to fly back to the States for surgery? Hello, Johnny Depp. What were you doing? Anyway, that's besides the point. Yeah, this isn't going to hurt them too much at all. I mean, he could have lost his hand and they could work around it. I mean, really. This isn't like the Harrison Ford thing with the Millennium Falcon deciding it was going to take a bite out of his leg, where it's like, okay, the dude can't stand, so therefore we got to work around him. This is even more minimal than that. So he'll be offset. They've got 1,000 scenes they need to shoot without a minute, so they'll just shoot those first. They'll be back in. I don't think this is going to affect them one little bit.
Yeah, I don't think it affects the Pirates movie, but it's always horrible to hear about an injury injury or, even worse, a death on set. So, I'm glad he's smiling in that picture. You know what I mean? Because when I heard the news, I was like, oh, that's horrible. Like having to leave set for a hand injury. Was it like hanging by a tendon? Is it like what kind of surgery? It's like, that's horrible for anyone to have to go through. So that he's, in good spirits makes me feel good. At least he's going to go through a lot of pain. Anyone who breaks their hand or gets, something severely injured. So he's a good guy for waving to the fans. I think, I hope he has a successful recovery, but that happens all the time. Harrison Ford broke his pelvis. Scarlett Johansson was pregnant for all of Avengers Age of Ultron. They had to shoot around her, Can't wait to see how they figured out, we shot almost all of these scenes in 3 days. It's all like green screen. Who knows?
The big question, though, is will the injury to Depp's hand hurt the stellar quality of the Pirates of the Caribbean
that's
series?
what, by the way, that's what I meant when I said I don't care. Not that I don't care about Johnny Depp, that I don't care as far as the movie because I'm not excited about it, but you guys are right. As far as the Harrison Ford leg thing went, they figured out a way, and that was a leg injury. So.
Right.
All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show for buy or sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Sinead's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. Those of us at the table are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Sinead, what do we got?
So The Hollywood Reporter is reporting that 50 Shades of Grey stars Dakota Johnson and Jamie Dornan are asking the studio for 7-figure raises for the next 2 films in the 50 Shades series. According to the report, both actors made a base salary of $250,000 for the first film and are looking for the type of raise that Jennifer Lawrence got for The Hunger Games, when the actress made $500,000 for the first Hunger Games film and then $10 million for Catching Fire. John, considering 50 Shades made $528 million at the worldwide box office, do you buy or sell that Dakota Johnson and Jamie Dornan deserve Jennifer Lawrence type raises for the next films?
Sell. Totally sell. Now, I buy the notion that they deserve raises. Now, they've already signed a deal. They've got a 3-picture deal. So, if the studio really wanted to be dicks about it, they can say no. But you're going to see them get a raise. But these numbers that the report I read was like anonymously quoting like representatives of the actors saying they're looking for like a Jennifer Lawrence type of deal, right? 10 million. Well, here's the problem. I'm sorry. Jamie Dornan is not Jennifer Lawrence. Nor is Dakota Johnson. Now, Dakota Johnson, she surprised a lot of people. She was actually pretty good in 50 Shades. And I didn't think Dornan was terrible either. But let's call it what it is. Ain't nobody went to see 50 Shades of Grey for Dakota Johnson. Nobody went to go see 50 Shades of Grey for Dornan. They weren't the draw. People were going to go see that if, the movie starred me and John Schnepp. That movie still would have made $50 million opening weekend.
That meme scares me.
And then
I would demand a raise for the second one myself. Yeah, I would.
And if you thought a 70% drop off for 50 Shades was bad, wait till you see the drop off of that one. But nobody went to go see it for you. And here's the thing. Unlike the Jennifer Lawrence situation, where Jennifer Lawrence was already an Academy-nominated actress, people were psyched that she was going to be in the role. She embodied the movie. She now became the representation, and people loved her in Hunger Games. A lot of people crediting that why it worked was because of her. And therefore, she stands in a position where she has earned and deserves like a bigger bump. Nobody went to go see this movie because of these two. And anybody who does go back, remember, this movie took a 70% drop from week 1 to week 2, which means there wasn't massive word of mouth and there weren't people going back for massive, repeat viewings. So it's just no. A raise, yes. The movie made too much money not to get a raise. Jennifer Lawrence type of money? Are you insane? No, I sell. Schnepp?
Well, I just got to say, if 50 Shades of Schnepp came out, I think the second week would be like 10% raise. It would be like word of mouth, be like, you've got to see this movie. But as far as them getting $10 million, I think, you know what? If I was the dude who was like, man, I made Shades of Grey. I took these relatively unknown actors and actresses. We all made $700 million. You got paid $250,000 to be in this slap me around kind of weird sex fest. Technically not a porno.
Someone's going to make a t-shirt, slap me around, weird
fest.
Kind of sex fest.
But I would say, look, man, I know you're asking for $10 million. Here's $4 million. And then they would be like, awesome, jump around and stuff. And then if the second one makes a ton of money, just like the first one, you get that 10 for the third. It's just like, I wouldn't just be like 10 million, but yeah, they should make, 250,000, they made 700 million. It'd be weird to have a sequel without those two people, even though I didn't even see the 50 Shades of Grey movie. I know that if I did see it, then the second one came out, it would feel like a direct to video. Like if it didn't have the original stars in it, it would just be like, oh, they didn't care about it. It's just it's a perception thing now. So
I sell it. I sell it big. One of the things about Jennifer Lawrence also, like you said, is that I do think people would have went and seen Hunger Games regardless if she was in it or not, but she elevated it.
Yeah, and got the repeat viewers
Absolutely.
and got the loyalty.
Because Katniss became that much more of a character to people who, besides people who just read the book, because they know her as Katniss. And you could have put, I don't know about necessarily Schnepp and Campia, but other people in those roles that could have been a lot.
Now that
of
you
fun.
said that, Harloff, I think actually Schnepp and Campia.
Yeah. But if you switched it up, it was very Twilight. It was the same thing. What happened with Twilight? They accepted them in the roles, and people started to get the fandom. It was like 5 or 6 movies. But the other thing is, I also sell it because that's the agent's fault. Because guess what? This was a best-selling novel. It was off the shelves like junk food. People were getting this, and you knew it was going to do big money. So for your clients, sign them for the one deal, and if it hits a certain amount of money, make sure they get a guarantee of this. Then you don't have to go, oh well, we're renegotiating. Right. It should be guaranteed in their second movie if it hits a certain number. What are you doing? That's the agent's fault. So sell it. Give them, I don't know.
I'll tell you what the agent was thinking. And the producer of the film made a comment about this, and it's like he was bang on. The producer of the movie said, well, look, here's the thing, this franchise is going to be a star maker. These actors, he was talking about Johnson and Dornan, said these actors now are going to be able to go on in their careers and get much bigger paydays for the next few films because they were in a big, massive international blockbuster like 50 Shades. Right. Now, whether they gave enough performances to really earn that, whatever, but that's probably what the agent was thinking.
Yeah,
if I get my client in this movie, it's going to open up all these other movies.
I agree with you, but I also think that's silly though, based on what the material
you're right.
is.
You're still right.
Because
yeah.
that material, like same thing with someone thinking about with Twilight, that's not how the business works anymore. Right. And a lot of people do think that way. Because I had someone text me, oh, this is going to open up a lot of opportunities now with Jamie Dornan. And no, it's not. He's getting panned for the most part about how Wooden is. He'll get in auditions more, but he's not going to get those big roles. Like, who do you think they're going to give it to? Tom Hardy or Jamie Dornan?
Chris Hemsworth. What was that movie called that just came out?
Where he's the hacker.
Yeah, the Black Hat. Black Hat. Yeah.
See, could barely remember what it's called.
Exactly.
We didn't know it came and went.
So it's not guaranteed for sure. And I think that that was a silly move. I think they should have guaranteed it because you knew it was going to make this kind of money. You don't know when Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson are going to be in movies like this again. This can be lightning in a bottle. Plus, you're
forgetting Jennifer Lawrence was in Winter's Bone. She was already like, wow, who's that actress? Exactly. She's incredible. Then won an Oscar while she was making the Hunger Games.
And she recovered from House at the end of the street or whatever.
Right. That was just just release that.
I think that was a movie that was like sitting on a shelf for a while. Just like, oh, wait a minute. Now she's famous. Let's put this out.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
Director Tim Burton is returning to Disney Studios to helm a live-action feature film version of the Disney classic Dumbo. Dumbo tells the story of a young circus elephant who, mocked for his enormous ears, discovers that he can actually use them to fly. Burton had massive success with Disney with his version of Alice in Wonderland, which made over $1 billion at the worldwide box office. Schnepp, buy or sell Tim Burton directing a live-action Dumbo movie?
Well, when I first heard this, I was like, wow, what a weird combo. It's like it felt like the Elephant Man. I was like, how is this going to come out? But I think taking Tim Burton's sensibilities, like what he did with Frankenweenie, and applying it to like actually a really kind of a sad story, which is what Dumbo is. If you watch that, you will cry. Imagine seeing that in live action. Everybody's crying. So I don't know, like if he's going to throw some of his Pee-wee's Big Adventure type of fun into that. I mean, when I think more about it, the more I think about it, at first it sounded really strange and weird. Now it feels like it's a natural fit, so I totally buy it.
I'm gonna sell this. And mostly because of that huge success of Alice in Wonderland. I thought they butchered that movie. I thought that was not done very well. So see him return to that makes me gives me some apprehension about it. But the other thing too is he just had that film out that should have been on paper, standing back a year ago, should have been like an Oscar contender in Big Eyes, and that movie was just flat. So to see him go back to Disney and do this kind of thing. I'm not saying I'm not. Everybody knows I'm not a huge Tim Burton fan, but there are movies of his that I like seeing. I just don't think this Disney thing is a good fit. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's awesome because I've actually been wanting to see a live action Dumbo for a while. I think it would be really cool. So here's hoping for all the success in the world for him. But for right now, I got to sell it.
I tentatively sell it also for a lot of those same reasons. And I'm worried that Johnny Depp's going to play Dumbo. and
with a broken hand.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, the pink elephant scene is going to be amazing.
You have so nailed it because that is probably why he was like.
That's probably why he was hired.
That's why he accepted the role. Like, I get to do the pink elephant.
Yeah, it's just. Like, but the thing is, I'm just worried because I thought Alice in Wonderland, regardless of what you think of the movie, fits his style because of the zaniness and the surrealism and all that stuff. What happens in Alice in Wonderland, it worked for his style. I just don't know right now if Dumbo is the right fit for him, but like you said, I could be 100% wrong. It could be the greatest, from animation to live action.
It also really depends on the script. I mean, a script will make or break a film, and when you're starting with the spine of a film like the animated movie Dumbo, you've got a really good script right there.
Yeah.
It's a time-tested story. So,
all right, what's next?
According to reports, actor Ben Foster has joined the cast for the upcoming Da Vinci Code sequel, Inferno. Foster joins existing cast members Tom Hanks and Felicity Jones. Foster can also be seen in the highly anticipated video game film Warcraft in 2016. Christian, buy or sell Ben Foster joining Inferno?
I buy anything Ben Foster's in. The guy is awesome. He's one of the most underrated actors I think out there. The problem is he hasn't hit that role yet that he has been in everybody's the mainstream's consciousness. He just hasn't, and I don't think this is going to be that role. But it's going to be nice to see him in a Ron Howard movie. It's going to be nice to see him work with opposite Tom Hanks. And anytime he's on screen, you if you don't know him, you go, well, who's that? He's that guy. I want to see him do more and more and more. I don't know what he's like offset. I have no idea if that has anything to do with it. But I want to see him do more, so it's a buy for me.
Yeah, he is one of those guys that somewhere down the list under Chiwetel Ejiofor that I've been saying for a long time is like the best actor that nobody knows who his name is in Hollywood. When you go back to 30 Days of Night, 50 Shades of Night, like all the way back to that. Yeah. And then here's the thing about Ben Foster. Let's put some little unknown actor and put him in a movie with Christian Bale and Russell Crowe, and he upstages both of them. And that's what he did in 3:10 to Yuma.
Yeah.
I mean, and then he was great in The Mechanic. He was the best part of The Mechanic. I cannot wait to see him in Warcraft. Nothing else about Inferno excites me, but this, I got to admit, this gets me a little bit more excited, so I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll buy it simply because of Ben Foster. I'm not into those Da Vinci Code movies, but I mean, I think he's a great actor. So them adding him to their film is only makes sense for them. They're like, get that great actor, and he's going to blow up after Warcraft. So,
all right, folks, we've reached that part of the show for Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like to hear us address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Send on in your questions. Maybe you'll see it answered on Movie Talk. Maybe you'll see it answered on our weekend Mailbag show. So for now, let's see what's in there. Sinead, what do we got?
I Do Need Nadiro writes, hi everyone, I've recently seen Scott Derrickson's movies like Sinister and Deliver Us from Evil, and they are horror movies. Will Doctor Strange be like a superhero horror movie?
Well, that was actually one of the reasons when they announced that he was going to be directing Doctor Strange that I remember you and I did the show that day, and we were both like, hey, that's not a bad fit, because if you're going to get a guy with horror sensibilities and attach him to any sort of, bigger Marvel film, Doctor Strange could be it. And that instantly, like, I was like most people that, Doctor Strange movie, that could be kind of cool. And then they announced him directing, and it's like, not only because he's directing, but it kind of tells us something about the direction they want to go. And now, like, suddenly I'm completely intrigued with this role. So will it be a horror movie? No, it's not going to be a horror movie. It's still a Marvel film. But will it have elements of horror in it? I think yes, and I think they're going to really nail it well. So I'm really excited about it. Christian?
Yeah, me too. I think it's going to have elements the same way that Winter Soldier had like the Bourne Identity and spy thriller.
The spy thriller, yeah.
And I think that they make it a purpose to do that. I mean, with Ant-Man going to be a crime heist. They change it up. So I think that you absolutely will have the Marvel feel to it, but will have a horror. There will be moments to where it's more creepy, and what a great guy to get in Benedict Cumberbatch as well to work with Scott Derrickson. Yeah. So I completely think you're going to see his style, and that's why they brought him in.
Yeah, you're talking about a character who like goes into other dimensions, floats around in an astral form. All of the enemies, like I'm a guy with a flaming head. I'm a dude from another. Like I'm called Nightmare, and I invade people's brains. It's a horror comic book, so to get him was like perfect. It's like, all right, they know exactly what they're doing. It's not going to be a comic book superhero Doctor Strange. It's going to be a horror movie, period. But the character Doctor Strange lives in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's how I really hope that they stick with the horror elements that Doctor Strange is so strong in the comic books. Just because it's a comic book doesn't mean it's a superhero comic book. Doctor Strange has never been a superhero
And don't just think that because it's horror movie, it's going to be rated R, because there are tons of PG-13 horror movies out there as well.
Oh, yeah.
And they could fit it. I mean, look at the first, oh my man, I can't even... Poltergeist. The first Poltergeist, PG-13. I think it was PG-13.
Oh, I can't remember.
Whatever it was, but those with all the supernatural
elements. I think it was simply PG. They didn't even have a PG-13 back then.
So the supernatural elements, they absolutely, and he could pull it off for sure.
Yeah, I think that's one of my most anticipated Marvel films is Doctor Strange.
All right, what's next?
Shubham Gupta writes, I want to ask about Joel Coen and Ethan Coen's new movie, Hail Caesar. Its release date is February 6, 2016. Why do you think they are not going for the Oscars, as almost all previous works have been acknowledged by the Oscars?
Not to be confused with the Wachowskis. The Coens are films that whenever they come out, I get excited and I'm looking forward to. But don't worry about when it's coming out. There is a misconception out there that if there's a movie that is going to be considered for Oscars, it's got to come out in December. Not true. Boyhood was one of the biggest Oscar buzz movies, one of the most nominated films this past year, and it was way early in the year. Now, studios if they think they've got a film that's going to get big Oscar bump, they generally like to put it in that time of year because Oscar buzz will help elevate its box office. But there's a lot of other elements that go into whether they think a film will do better here, or here. And if they chose earlier in the year, then they made that choice for box office reasons, not because of awards reasons. So I wouldn't be turned off by that at all. Do you guys have anything to add to that?
Not really, no.
No, I love any Coen Brothers movie. I look forward to with anticipation. I just like whenever it comes out. I don't care when it comes out. I agree. So.
All right, folks, so listen, we also love to take your questions, not only in our mailbag, but we love to take your questions via Twitter. So if you've got a question you'd like to see on our show and you want to see your Twitter handle up on our show, you can tweet to us using the hashtag AMC Movie Talk. So tweet in your questions. We pick a few out every single day. Sinead, what do we have there today?
At Panda Narbat tweets, whatever happened to that Sandman movie JGL was supposed to be attached to a little while back? Anything new?
Well, I think the last thing we heard was just a couple of months ago. He was the original writer of the book, who I confused with another author. Remember?
Right. He thought we were talking about Alan Moore.
Yes, I thought we were talking. We were talking
about Neil Gaiman because he was like, I wouldn't let that crazy person on. I was like,
wacko, and they were like, why are you saying
what
he's
is
wacko?
wrong with Campea? He's the nicest guy in the world.
That.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're still working out story. And so Joseph Gordon-Levitt isn't just attached to write. I mean, he's taken on like a producer's role and stuff like that as well. Mm-hmm. So the last we heard from him a couple of months ago, they're still working out details of story and things like that. I've heard nothing to suggest that the project has come off the rails or that's not happening. I just don't expect, I think a lot of us, we've become very spoiled. I know I have. That once we hear that they're working on a movie, we expect to hear who's in it tomorrow. A lot of times movies take like 3, 4, 5 years to gestate and really get going. So don't worry about it. I think it's still coming. Anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I'm sure they're still working on it. And I mean, that's exactly what you said. Everyone's got their plates are probably full for 2 years. And they're like, all right, let's get the spine done. Then we'll get the writing done. And so we'll hear I'm sure we'll hear casting decisions sometime next year,
Yeah, the development process takes a while in general, especially now with because I don't know if it plays into the DC movie slate. If it does, maybe that's something that they have to also see as more movies release. Maybe they're waiting to see what happens in Batman v Superman with how the audience receives it, how Suicide Squad does. I don't know if it ties in. It may or may not. But if it does, maybe they want to tie it in. So that could also be holding it off for a bit.
This would be a tough one to tie in, though. I mean, I have nothing to base this on. I've just always made the assumption that it'll be its own standalone thing and not tied in, but just that doesn't necessarily mean that's the way it's going to be. Like, Shep, do you think they're going to tie this into the greater DCU, or do you think it's going to be its own unique thing?
I think it could stand on its own to be its own unique thing with no problem. I would like to see it tied in some peripheral way. It could go either way, but I would like to see it stand on its own. I mean, I know The Rock was talking about, Shazam is going to be part of the DC cinematic universe, but the Sandman on its own is just so rich. It doesn't need anything else, really. So I could see it really standing on its own and not tied in and be completely successful. So,
all right, what's next?
At D_Vance tweets, hey AMC, do you have any news on the Venom movie still happening, or is it the same writer as the Aunt May movie?
Well, look, as far as I know, all the plans that Sony had have been swept away. I think they're going to keep elements, which, keeping Goddard is probably one of the signs that they're going to keep some elements of stuff. He's probably going to end up directing the next Spider-Man movie. But as far as I know, it's gone. Now, that doesn't mean that Sony doesn't have plans, a new set of plans for what they might do with Venom in the future. I'm sure Venom will be a part of this new Spider-Man cinematic universe, no doubt. But that the old the newest old Spider-Man cinematic universe, the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man cinematic universe, which they were planning the Venom character to be a part of, that's gone. So whether they come up with new plans, I'm sure they will, but I haven't heard of anything yet. Have you guys heard anything?
No, but the fact they're definitely going to use Venom, and I think Venom was used so poorly in the last Raimi one that they have to use him again. And I think that they'll wind up using him tied into, maybe they can even use him once they tie him in with the Avengers and everything down the line. You probably have the Sinister Six as the first villains that he is going up against, and then you can. Well, I know Venom's not necessarily a villain, but we'll see how they use him.
Yeah, I mean, like the Aunt May movie that's called Agent of Confusion. That's the one that me and Mark Ellis are currently working on. So, and that's really top secret. So I really shouldn't even be talking about it. You'll see it. You'll see some stuff later in the next few months. It'll slowly get unrolled. You'll see. But yeah, as far as Venom, yeah, he's gonna. I think all of the characters that are associated with Spider-Man from now on are going to be tied into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I'm sure you'll see characters from all the rest of the Marvel movies pop up in Sinister Six and in Venom. And in Carnage, if they make a Carnage film. So it's like, or Black Cat, any of the Spider-Man properties. Now you can actually see Spider-Woman possibly join the Avengers. And that's not possible. I think it's all of that's possible now.
The death of Aunt May lived. What happened?
All right, what's next?
At Mangan Lewis tweets, now that Peter Jackson is done with The Hobbit, does this improve the chances of getting a District 9 sequel?
Well, I don't think Peter Jackson's schedule really had anything to do with how quickly or how slowly they were moving on a District 9 sequel. Chappie might have something to do with slowing things down on a District 9 sequel. Look, I'm one of those guys, I've wanted to see a District 9 follow-up because the first film ended as it felt like the end of chapter 1. Yeah. That's what it really felt like. And what happens to him after that? I mean, that's a story I think that needs to be told. And I really, 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 really wish he had done that instead of Chappie. I wasn't happy with Chappie. I had heard it wasn't any good, but I still went into it with an open mind because I also heard Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles wasn't any good, and I actually ended up liking that. But no, Chappie, I did not. And I really wish he had done that. It may hurt the chances. That is what might hurt the chances, I think, of them getting a District 9 2 going. It might put Neil Blomkamp in a position where, dude, I need a hit again. Let's do District 9 and maybe somebody give him the chance. I don't know. Christian, what do you think?
Well, I think it's going to count on Aliens. I think once
yeah, there's Aliens. Yeah. I totally forgot about Aliens.
Once you see Aliens, and then if he knocks that out of the park, all is well. And you'll probably see District 9. I'd like to see him go away from sci-fi. He knows sci-fi, and as well. I mean, after Aliens, I'm giving the guy the benefit of the doubt. And there are some people out there who actually enjoyed Chappie. I'm not one of them, but there are people out there who enjoyed it. He still knows how to paint the sci-fi picture. Let's see him do that with Aliens, get back on track, and then I'd love to see a sequel to District 9.
Well, I haven't even seen Chappie yet. I'm bummed out. Every single person I know did not like it, or at least people's opinions that I respect were like, it's a disappointment. So that's a bummer.
Since when have you respected my opinion?
I wasn't talking about you, Campy. Well, you set yourself up for that one. No, I mean, so I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to see it. I hope I'm not bummed out, but whatever. District. I was always thinking it would be called District 10. Mm-hmm. It felt like that was like the next, but yeah, I really hope he makes that. I hope he hits it out of the, knocks it out of the park with Aliens, and it's not a disappointment. It's incredible. It's what everybody wanted from Aliens 3. Hopefully he does that, and then that gives him the clout to make District 10. So I would love to see that, and I personally would like him to stay in science fiction. We don't have enough strong science fiction guys in there, but once again, I didn't see Chappie, so I don't. I don't want to
leave. I don't want to leave forever. I just want to see what else, because he's such a talented filmmaker. Right. He really is. I want to see what else he can do. Someone like David Fincher. He moves around. Also, I'd like to see him do something else just to see what else he's got.
Right.
You made a great point, though, about how if he knocks it out of the park with Aliens, all is well, right? It goes back. There's an old sports analogy that says winning solves everything. Sure. I mean, so you can have a favorite sports teams that got all these problems, but when they win, all those problems seem to go away. And if he knocks it out of the park with Aliens, you're right. It's all is well again. That would be great.
It's the same thing with Shyamalan. As people say about Shyamalan, everyone's like, oh, he's just so many turds after the next. If he made another movie that was incredible, he's back. He's back. We'd all be saying it too.
Right.
I kid you not. I honestly thought I was one of those chumps that thought Avatar was going to be that film.
No, you weren't. The trailer was.
I didn't mind it. I liked the trailer.
The trailer was great. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I'm one of those guys who I actually thought that Avatar was going to be the Shamhammer's return to greatness. Wow. Okay, folks. Thanks. That'll do it for us for this episode of AMC Movie Talk. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, don't forget, Lots of great films playing at AMC Theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and of course, your movie ticket information. If you want an audio-only version of this episode or any show that we do here on AMC Movie News, check in the description of this video and you'll find a link to our podcast feed. Don't forget to click the thumbs up button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and share this video around on your Facebook and your Twitter as well. I want to thank, first of all, the guy sitting at the table with me, sitting to my left, host of the new show, AMC Heroes, which debuted last night. You can see it online right now, Mr. John Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you online?
Well, you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram, just at John Schnepp or at TDOSLWH. The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened, coming at you May 1st. And check out AMC Heroes.
And, of course, sitting over here, host of the new AMC Jedi Council, which launches this Thursday, Mr. Christian Harloff. Christian, where can people find you online?
Well, you can find me at Twitter at Christian Harloff. And like John said, Jedi Council's back Thursday. Myself, John, Maude, Garrett. And for all those of you guys wondering about Jedi Council, it's covering everything Star Wars canon. So if you want a Twitter question answered, like I said, follow me and put in hashtag AMC Jedi Council. We'll try to get one of your questions on the air.
And, of course, our lovely host today, Sinead DeFries. Sinead, where can people find truffle butter? Off-camera conversation.
Oh my gosh! You're not telling anybody where they can find truffle butter. Go look up truffle butter yourselves. I'm not telling anybody that information. But you can find me, Sans the Truffle Butter, online on Instagram and Twitter at Sinead DeFries. And you took my breath away. Can't even talk. And that's so Sinead.com.
You better hope that's not your new nickname.
And you can find me on the various social media channels, just at John Campia. That'll do it for us, guys. Thanks a lot for joining us. My name's John Campia for AMC Movie News. And until next time, 50 Shades.